you editors and your colleagues from various media houses and organizations. I want to warmly welcome you to State House. I do so mindful of the fact that this is the first such meeting we are holding, and that you represent different ownerships, editorial paths, and tendencies which in some constitute our national media industry. Yet I am aware that one common denominator you have in that diversity and even competition is the fact of being Zimbabweans. Those who are not Zimbabweans can put up their hands. We are all sown to this land. Whatever our ownership and editorial policy, we pursue and espouse as individual media houses or organizations. We commit ourselves to serving our nation. Indeed, for all times, to defending its interests, safeguarding its sovereignty, working for its stability and justice, and for the unity of our people in their diversity. This is what we mean when we say nyika inovakwa, inotongwa, inodzivirirwa, gonamatirwa nevene vayo. It is my wish that we meet more often in this extended way, so I get to appreciate your thinking, your work, and your challenges. The same way I would want to believe you are just as eager to do the same in respect of my work as an elected public servant and a leader of our nation. Nation building is always a collaborative project, and we all have roles to play in that binding process. I'm actually aware that your industry is having to survive in a very complex and a challenging environment where many things have and continue to change. Not least among these is a seismic shift in reader, viewer, listener interest and behavior. Much of it caused, motivated or aided by giant technological changes and possibilities. The old media is dead, and with it, old modes, models, and ways of doing your craft. We feel the impact and the repercussions of these changing technologies. Even in our own sphere of government, which is supposed to be stable and traditionally change averse. Things are no longer the same for everyone, and never will ever be. All sectors are having to adjust, not least your own. Only a few days ago, I made new appointments to our government, which included a portfolio I never thought I would think about a few years ago. Big nations think they now have the prerogative of planning their economies with our resources in mind. It is as if national boundaries have been collapsed in their favor, evidenced by emerging laws on critical minerals which foreign blocs are drafting, but with African resources in mind. This is an emerging threat we now have to contend with. Just looking at your products, I can see a similar strain from those big changes as they impact on your profession and your industry. I'm very keen to hear from you who are in the cockpit and get your thoughts on how government should assist so you survive the headwinds of this global change. Government values a vibrant media industry. That vibrancy is underwritten by viability of the media as individual businesses. Above all, our national media are part of our institutional identity makers. They must be sovereign and self-determining in thought, expression, and in the interests they express and defend. Comrades, we meet at a time when there are many developments in our economy, some good and some bad. As interpreters of our society, you face these developments daily as you process your copy for your readers. What that means is that you must and deserve to be well informed in respect of the immediate world about you. So you report from knowledge and understanding for the benefit of the reading or reviewing or viewing public. The more reason we must meet more often so we share perspectives on this critical matter. We make policies, you report and comment on them. That makes us partners. No less complex is the political terrain, which is always in a state of permanent flux. As with the economy, society expects you to be in the know and to offer directional insights on the political trajectory. Well, we are the political actors, quite often writers of the political script which shapes the daily life of our nation. Your profession is to read and understand that script, which we do not always write legibly, so you can report and comment on it. From where I sit, I'm always fascinated and even amused by your attempts at reading and interpreting those politics we ourselves do. Some political issues you do report well, others with quite some dramatic imagination. All in all, I want to believe you do it all in good faith. Once there is purity of motive, which is to inform and serve the national interest, even lapses and failures, which are inevitable from time to time, will always have a ring of dignity and a gallantry about them. I am hopeful that after today's session and many more such sessions in future, the chasm between us as actors and you as observers and interpreters progressively narrows. Your capacity to handle political copy must continually improve so our citizens, who are your readers, are better informed. Another area you might find vexatious relate to foreign affairs. You do not need to feel inadequate about such vexations. Even I, as your president, daily am having to grapple with buffeting developments happening worldwide. We are on the cusp of a new world order where the hitherto old and familiar now looks challenged and dying, while the new and emerging is still too unclear and even too shapeless for us to grasp what it is. Key actors in global affairs now follow templates which they invent as they go. Templates which only make sense by hindsight. Being a young African developing nation, we have no pretensions to authoring this emerging world order, not even playing midwifery to it. Yet we have to influence, survive, and live in it. Zimbabwe is now in the chair of the Southern Africa Development Community, SADC. I want to formally thank you all for the role you played towards making the SADC summit held last year such a resounding success. What our chairmanship means is that we have to help our region navigate through these tumultuous global times whose echoes daily reverberate in our own region. It could be by way of electoral politics, it could be by way of foreign interests seeking to coercively influence our region, or a part of it. Indeed, it could be by way of instability and even complex conflict situations such as we are witnessing in the Congo. We are having to summon new tools or even inventing them, so we tackle these new challenges or old ones with new dimensions as best we can. Whoever imagined that SADC and the East Africa Community, EAC, would hold a joint summit? Yet that happened only just over a week ago, with the promise of more such summits in future. I'm barely a day from the 38th ordinary session of the African Union, AU, in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. We are having to cope with many changes and challenges, and are having to chart new trajectories as nations, sub-regions, and as a continent. Again, all that bears down on you as interpreters of events and developments in the world. I read that again. Again, all that bears down on you as interpreters of events and developments in the world. This is the more reason we must meet more often, so we share notes and perspectives, and so we constantly update each other on these and more developments, always breaking out. When my spokesperson, George Charamba, consulted me on this edition of what I believe is going to be the first of many such to come, I readily acceded to it, more so given that this is the beginning of yet another year into my mandate. It is vitally important that I share with you my thoughts on what the government plans to do in the year we have just begun. It is also important that together we discuss how we can assist each other to make the year another success for our nation. I told this young man, Charamba, that the invitation must embrace as many leaders from your industry as possible, the good and the bad. I'm happy you are here in your numbers and diversity. I would want to interact with many more, including those publishing online. I also told Commissioner Charamba that everything is on the table so that we engage and exchange in the spirit of complete openness, with nothing and no area being regarded as taboo. If any matter is raised with which might verge on the sensitive, I will still engage it, while appealing to you to exercise due restraint and responsibility in the national interest. That way, we can take each other into confidence, making this forum mutually beneficial and worth our while. With these remarks, I'm ready to participate in the session as you have formulated it. And once again, you are most welcome. A very good morning. Charamba, you can take over.
Thank you for the wonderful President, and thank you very much for those directional remarks. Well, all that remains for me, ladies and gentlemen, is to resume my seat and watch you as you interact with His Excellency the President. What we do is, as always, we show by hand that we intend to raise a matter with His Excellency the President. Again, restate our name and organization so the President gets to know you a little more. Otherwise, we are ready to roll.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Excellency. My question is around the political, what's happening in ZANU-PF currently. Last week on Monday, at the National Heroes Acre, we witnessed different factions singing songs, some supporting you, others supporting your deputy. And you've also said that you are constitutional, you are constitutionalist, and you are going to respect the Constitution, and you plan to leave at the end of your term. But then there's a lot of confusion around that. Because if you look, there's been a push. A push to amend the Constitution to 2030. And also there's been reports that you've had meetings with what they call affiliates of the President at the farm on the same issue. So we just want to find out from you, what is your position on the push for the 2030?
It's not imaginable that there is anybody in the country who can push me. I feel very unpushable. And very solid. And I've always said I'm a constitutionalist. My two terms, when they come to an end, the country and the party will move on by electing my successor. That is clear day.
Maybe a follow-up, Your Excellency, is the respect which is expected either of the presidency, the president as a whole, as displayed not when you were there only at the Heroes Acre, but even before, we could see this rancor. The respect which is being displayed by either members of the public, it leaves a lot to be desired, isn't it? That sometimes people shout at your deputies or shout in favor of you or in favor of your deputy. How do you see it? The respect which is coming out either from the social media, from the media, denigrating.
I'm so happy. This is the vibrancy of democracy. The foolish and the wise both have their day in Zimbabwe. Yes, it's not finished.
Are you finished? Okay, are you done?
Continue.
Yeah, I think I'm satisfied to some extent. Your Excellency, are you likely to caution some of the members of the party who go out of their way to denigrate other members of the party after you had underscored that discipline is vital in the party? Discipline and respect of the leadership.
I think those who really are ZANU-PF at heart go by the rules and decorum of ZANU-PF. We have other people who are in ZANU-PF who in themselves are not ZANU-PF, but they dress the ZANU-PF regalia. So you must always see when people talk and they see to which camp they belong as they open their mouths.
Ngoshi?
Worship, Your Excellency. I need a bit of help here to understand you clearly. I know the whole country needs you to pronounce yourself clearly. You have said and you've restated this point that you leave when your term ends, or you know when you will leave, the day and time. But like my colleague here said, there's still a lot of confusion. There's the 2030 people who are saying you should extend your term to 2030. Can you state and pronounce your position clearly for the whole nation, for the international community, for us, so that when we write our stories, we have the proper information? What is your opinion? When are you leaving, sir?
I thought you are putting it very clear. That I'm very clear. That I have 2 terms, and these terms are very definite. And I'm so democratic. When they come to an end, I'll step aside and my party will elect my successor. That is as clear as day. Those who have other imaginations, it's a democratic society for people to dream. But facts will take the day.
Musarurwa?
Yes, Your Excellency. I think you have been very clear in pronouncing yourself in that particular regard. And you have said you cannot be pushed. But you have been on record saying that the voice of the people is the voice of God. Can you be persuaded, and will you be persuaded to serve beyond 2028?
I'll persuade the persuaders not to persuade me.
You want the last bite?
No.
Okay, fine. Let's get going. Okay.
Excellence, you are in your second term, and we have seen contradictions within the economy.
Contradiction? What?
Contradictions within the economy. Most of your first term, a lot of people were actually warming up to the policies of the government, and now people they begin to say we are fatigued by the same narrative where the economy continues to tank. Do you believe that Zimbabweans have really understood where you and your government are going in terms of wanting to uplift their lives and better the economy?
Yes. It is not easy to have everybody on board at the same time. But as we move on, people will understand the trajectory we've charted for ourselves. Any policy enunciated by any political party can be subjected to interrogation by other elements in society, and that is democracy. And I'm not worried about that. But we are focused on what we agreed as ZANU-PF to implement our policy.
Victoria?
Thank you.
Victoria Falls. Yes.
Thank you, Excellency, for this awesome opportunity. Right from day one, you were very vehement about the economy. And I was also, as a person, very excited because I was also coming from an economics background. I think I just graduated from being business editor then. So things to do with the economy are really on my heart. So from what has happened over the past few years since you took over,
to where we are today, are you happy with the state of the economy? Do you feel let down, or you feel you have achieved or even overachieved? Are you happy with the way things are? Why am I asking? Is also there are issues that have been simmering. I know last week or the week before you met business. They have their concerns and complaints. We have shops like OK closing. I've also been one of your advocates or ambassadors. Each time people complain about the economy, but I would say, look at this and that. It would not have happened ordinarily. This man is working, referring to you. So from your standpoint, are you happy with what has been achieved? Or you would have wanted us to be somewhere by today, or we're even ahead of where you wanted us to be? What are your thoughts when you sit or when you wake up to say, yeah, my economy is firing? Is it firing? From your perspective?
No, I would say that we, as a country or as an economy, would have wanted to be better than the way we are. But challenges continue to face every single economy, not only for Zimbabwe, the entire region, or perhaps as a continent. But I'm happy that as Zimbabwe, we are rising up to the challenge, and we are doing our best to manage our economy and the challenges facing it. And fortunately, recently we've had good rains, and our economy is basically agricultural. And having a good season is a huge impetus with regard to a positive trajectory with the growth of our economy. And I'm happy that our people are embracing this good season we're having. And our people are very hardworking with regard to making sure we stay on course. So we should not be disappointed by challenges that face us. There is no situation where a country sails through without challenges. But I think we are doing better than what people would have expected.
Yes, right at the back, Ranga. Matai.
Your Excellency, in your presentation, you talked about the emerging challenges of security nature that are happening in the region and globally. At the last historic summit between SADC and the DSC, there was a resolution to the effect that army chiefs were directed to meet within 5 days and provide technical direction on an immediate and unconditional ceasefire. I just wanted to hear from you as the SADC chair, how far in terms of progress regarding that issue. There was also a resolution which was passed by the last extraordinary SADC summit, which said that there was need for the organ of politics and security to engage non-state actors in the DRC conflict. I also want to know how far that is on in terms of engaging non-state actors in the resolution of the conflict in the DRC.
All that resolutions are work in progress. Nothing is standing still. You may want results yesterday, but that is not how the world works.
Ranga, are you happy? You wonderful.
Within 5 days, the 5 days have lapsed now.
Oh, there was a timeline in the communique.
Yes.
So what has happened because time has lapsed? What has happened?
Any progress regarding their meeting and the direction in terms of...
If there was progress, would you know about it?
Which is to say it's classified.
Right.
Could we move on to the next question? Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Excellency. My question is on South Africa and Zimbabwe. I think in the past few days, we saw the US actually imposing sanctions on South Africa, and we have been going for 24 years on sanctions. Now my question is, since around 2007-8, when we had our own meltdown, our people moved to South Africa in search of jobs. What then are you planning, or are you talking to your counterpart when South Africa is now hit, the economy is hit, they are likely to come. Like, are we able as an economy to absorb them? How are we going to respond, knowing that South Africa is our biggest trading partner? If they are hit by sanctions, our economy is not going also to scream.
I can assure you that those who impose sanctions on other countries should have learned a lesson. Zimbabwe growth was faster when we were under sanctions than before sanctions. So if you want the economy to grow fast, you impose sanctions. So we are a good lesson. We have developed and grown our economy under sanctions. I don't think South Africa would be an exception. South Africa is a solid country with a solid economy based on its resources. And I believe that the people of South Africa are rooted in South Africa themselves. The outside the world can only assist what the South Africans themselves can do for their country. So don't lose sleep about the people imposing sanctions on other people.
Don't lose sleep. Okay. Yes.
Thank you. Takuchi Mbaki from NRTV. I'm really excited as the youngest amongst these giants with my president. So my question comes from what you just said, that you are amused at some of the interpretations we put across when we're telling our stories and writing our copies. Just last week in your first cabinet, you highlighted that you don't want to see punitive taxes on businesses that stifle growth. But at the same time, we have a monetary policy statement that's coming in and saying to farmers in the horticulture sector, for instance, you're now only supposed to retain 70% of your foreign currency instead of 75%. One would look at it and say the president is for development and progress, but on the ground we are seeing a different narrative. What's your take on that?
Things don't get perfected overnight. As we pronounce ourselves pillars of authority in the various sectors of the economy will fall into line, not overnight, but in the process.
Your Excellency, my question is on graft, on corruption. When you came into power in 2017, you were condemning corruption at the center. You even gave people an order of 3 months to return spirited money. They extended it by a month. Then names of the accused were published in newspapers, and that was the end of it. And people now, they believe that your government backs more than it buys. How far with fighting corruption in the country? In fact, some people, they're saying that the biggest problem is about the economy, that is corruption.
I think when the dog begins barking, the next is to bite. So if we are barking, what is left is biting.
But for how long are you continue to bark?
You will feel the bite when we bite.
Yes. Yes, so close.
Ndamusandu Newsday.
Who's?
Ndamusandu Newsday.
Ndamusandu? Sandu. Zimbabwean?
Yes. Your Excellency, at the close of last year, at your last cabinet meeting, you indicated that you were not happy with the performance of some of the ministers. And then in the first cabinet meeting this year, you read the Riot Act. The question is, when are you going to see action?
What action do you want me to take?
Reshuffling and sending some people home.
The action I said is the action I wanted my people to hear. That I'm not happy with what they are doing, they have to change. That is precisely why I said what I said.
But Your Excellency, You've said it before. It's not the first time that...
I'll continue to say it. You can also continue to ask.
Yes, ZBC.
Yes,
Romaya.
Ah, yes, Roman, yes, Roman. More Zoma. Okay.
Transport sector really deregularized at some point, and our private players see private taxis. Is there a long-term plan from the government perspective to address issues and challenges in the mass public transport sector in relation to probably ZUCO and of course the NRZ? We have heard a lot being said about resuscitation of NRZ, but we have not seen anything on the ground in terms of the transportation side.
Yeah, these are challenges which the government is facing. Yes, with the robust transport system, which for some reason is not the same again, but I think it's a challenge which is government we need to address so that we have a robust public system, transport system for our public. It's a challenge which we are facing as government.
Just before you do, let's have, yes, Amagumbo.
Your Excellency, going back to the issue of the economy, any particular sectors where we should expect focus on for the year 2025?
For what?
Focus on
In terms of economic growth, and also are you happy with the role of the young people that they are playing in terms of economic development?
Yeah, our economy is basically agricultural. That is the backbone of our economy. And I'm happy that currently, with good rains we are having, our agricultural sector is on the growth trajectory. And when that happens, it affects the other subsectors of the economy in terms of influencing its growth and the positivity in economic growth. And I'm happy that we have had these good rains. Yes.
Before you do, anyone who hasn't had an opportunity, first opportunity? If not, well, Ranga, back to you.
Yes, I understand there is the Presidential War Veterans Fund. I just wanted to ask whether there is any expectation that it can be expanded to include war collaborators, youth, and women.
Well, why don't we discuss it instead of at a press conference? If there are elements we feel are left out, let them come to the table and say we feel are being left out, and we discuss it. We are brothers and sisters.
Godfrey, your hand was up.
Yeah. Your Excellency, you assumed the insider chairmanship at a very critical time, particularly when you look at the development that are happening in the region. And also combining that with your efforts to try and lift the lives of the Zimbabweans here. The one who want to ask a guy who is 83 years old, how does he keep going? What keeps you going? Because that's a lot of pressure. What keeps you going? Do you train? Do you do yoga? Do you do karate? What keeps you going?
The more you become older, you become wiser. And this baffles the younger people like you.
A baffled soul does not come back. Mungoshi, yes? Oh, sorry, before you, Mungoshi. Zenenga, yes.
Thank you very much, Excellency. Zenenga hatred, Sunday News. I'm just interested to find out, maybe as a follow-up to Guthrie's question, what exactly keeps you awake? What keeps you awake as the president? Because a lot of people just wonder, I can't president, I can't
Oh my God. Do you always think when you're asleep? When I sleep, I sleep. When I'm thinking, I'm awake. That answers it. Thank you, sir. Yes,
Your Excellency, last week I was in Mnangagwa for a state function. We were commemorating World Radio Day.
World Radio?
Radio Day, yes, in Mnangagwa.
Okay.
Then on my way back, I drove on the Bulawayo Victoria Falls Road. It took us 5 to 6 hours to get to Bulawayo from Wange, because the road is treacherous. It is in a bad state. Fortunately, I come from Chivu. The Chivu area, and our road is excellent, and thanks to you. My question is, that road, the Victoria Falls Road, is an important road to the economy of this country. And I don't need to go into details, tourists. What is government doing about that road and the Chivu Road? Because those are important roads.
Yeah, my Minister of Transport, Mr. Mona, is addressing that issue. We've discussed in cabinet that road has deteriorated and requires resources now to be focused on rehabilitating it.
Thank you. Can I follow?
Sure.
Yeah, and last week there was a nasty accident somewhere around Pipe Bridge. 24 lives were lost.
Pipe Bridge.
We saw nasty pictures.
Bus accident. Yes.
Yes, we saw pictures of victims and patients, people who were injured in that accident in hospitals. Sadly, it seems medical staff didn't have the equipment, the tools to help these people. We've seen pictures circulating on social media of people strapped in cardboard boxes, perhaps because there's no equipment. Your Excellency, can you assure the nation that government is seized with this matter and what exactly is being done so that in future, should we have a tragic incident like that, our people will be taken care of?
Yeah, that was a sad situation when I saw it, and we must make sure we correct that. I saw that on the media, and I'm happy that the media has exposed such weaknesses. So we must address that immediately. Yes.
Thank you, sir. Yes, Ruben.
Your Excellency, the health sector has been a problem, especially, for example, Mpilo today. For the past month, it has been operating on diesel generators because the cables bringing ZESA were cut off. And since independence, the major hospitals which have been built, for example, in Harare, it's only Chitungwiza, but the population has ballooned. The population has ballooned, has grown big. There's no much as far as building infrastructure, health facilities for people in Harare, including Bulawayo. It's only the United Bulawayo and Matade and Mpilo, whilst the population. It has not happened the way education has expanded. For example, universities have been built in each and every provincial capital. Are we likely to see more referral hospitals being constructed?
I'm not really aware of that urgent need, but my minister responsible for that sector, he has demanded from government what he thinks is needed to expand the facilities.
Yes, Msaruwa.
Yes, thank you, Your Excellency. Which areas do you think we need to improve on as the media? And welfare issues are sort of topical because of the challenges that we are facing. Is government agreeable to support the media material? Is it amenable to that?
What welfare, the welfare issues, can you speak to that so the president can give you a good response? What exactly are we talking about?
The media is currently challenged because of the evolving technologies. I think you sort of indicated that in your speech, that we are sort of grappling with the disruptions that are being caused by new technologies to our business. So is the government agreeable to supporting the media industry in Zimbabwe materially?
What is required is not us to investigate what you need. The media should come forward and they seek government assistance to ameliorate their needs.
Sorry, he's not yet exhausted. Let's just give him a chance. Yeah.
And the areas that you feel we need to improve on as an industry?
Not me interrogating improvements on your part. You ask us to support you to improve what you need to be improved.
You meant editorially.
Yeah.
Farida kuti guidance depend pamukunyutere nekukava kwavari kuita basa ravo.
The more you speak well, the better.
Please perfect your speech. Yes, Gabriel, you want to follow?
I want to come in terms of operations, media operations, mainstream media, Your Excellency. It's just a comment, really, and a plea. Most of the mainstream media, they are actually on their knees. Not because of only the prevailing economic environment or the exogenous stress that are caused by big tech companies, but because of the late payments by Treasury. We have had all the media houses, mainstream. We've had to seek meetings with Zimna, try and cue in our statutory obligations because the money has been coming from the government. And we've tried to engage with lots of promises but very few action. It is our plea, Your Excellency, that if it is necessary, as it is, because we also a critical voice in terms of trying to transmit the government policies, that you step in and perhaps the Treasury, we know that they are skilled, but perhaps they may try to see the importance of making sure that we've got something for us to be able to survive.
Well, I take your plea to the Minister of Finance to give you more hearing. But I'm also sure about this is size of help to give you, but I'll tell him that you've pleaded with me so that you should, the minister should be able to assist you more. And I think he will listen because you have come to number one to tell another number.
Like I say, don't worry about the son when you have the father. Okay. Yes, the tallest man.
Thank you. One of the key.
You want to introduce yourself?
My name is Maurice Mkwate. I'm the head of channel at Zim Papers Television Network. Yeah, one of the key factors affecting new players in the media industry, television in particular, are the exorbitant fees, particularly license fees, transmission fees that television channels have to pay. For instance, we pay $60,000 to the Broadcasting Authority of Zimbabwe yearly. And we were pleased that at your first cabinet meeting last week, you did mention as one of the key highlights that your ministers have to look at reviewing license fees, taxes, to ensure that the operating environment is favorable for businesses. So we want to find out whether there are any timelines to that review and when we can expect that favorable review, seeing that this is quite affecting the media industry as well, because that's a huge cost on our books and it pretty much affects our operations at the same time.
You should be happy that I'm pleading on your behalf. And who else should plead better than the head of state on your behalf? And I'm doing so.
That's number one. Other numbers are less. Okay. Yes, Ola.
Vice Premier.
The old media, which it is dead. ne-impact new technology, new media, with social media. So we've seen even in America, podcast is big and is growing also in Zimbabwe, which is the area and we've seen how it is, also helped President Trump to win the elections through Joe Rogan podcast. Are we also going to see government officials on such platforms? On social media, which is controlling the narrative president podcast, ministers on podcast, are we also going to see that?
Yes, Your Excellency, just follow up to what Ola said and just said. I represent New Zealand. Yes, Ziana. When I came in 3 years ago as executive secretary, I went to the library, a good library there, and I was going through the pictures, old pictures, and I saw several pictures of yourself with the late Farai Nyuki, editors of Ziana at the time. You seem to have been a frequent visitor to Ziana. I'm sorry to say, Your Excellency, she has now taught me wrong. Ziana is a government entity. It's funded by government. We get a grant from government. Our ministry is doing the best it can to get some money out of treasury for us. We don't have vehicles. I, as a CEO, I drive a cool vehicle that
oh, you actually drive, eh?
We management, reporters for operations, we want to digitize so we can do what Ola 7 is doing, because this is where the media is going. Ziana Iruksarela Mashure, our counterparts in other countries, in Namibia, Nampa, Opa, Zanis in Zambia, are fully funded by the state. If you went to visit these countries and you went to these organizations, you will shall see what they are doing there. We want to do the same, but my resources are putting in same. So those who are not our attitude, we have to get through you, maybe that our Namatanga. But I suppose that busy, but they should remember that it's the enemy. We also need vehicles. And now more telling you.
It's beginning to sound like a trade union now.
Structure
it's funded by the government. I will look at it and do more advice.
Right now, Chief Secretary, I'll look at your complaint and it would be addressed with immediate effect.
Just to remember the point made earlier on by the president. I think it's important for us as a media industry to consolidate our requests as loyal government, and then on that basis, then we can approach the whole matter comprehensively. Maybe that's a matter okay. Yes.
Yes. I want to take you to Your Excellency to SADC, where you are the chairperson, and I'm also the chair.
Oui. Oui, SADC. Oui.
As SADC, we're pushing our candidates for the AU chairmanship position, and out of 16 countries, we got seven votes. Our candidate got 7 votes, and as SADC, we are pushing a candidate for the AFGB president position, and we have enlisted the support of EAC. How how critical is regional solidarity in making your voices heard?
No, we do actually collaborate. What is required is us as SADC is to talk to our regional colleagues, bodies to support our stand. We usually collaborate. I don't see any problems, but what is important is to have dialogue and discussion about what we want to achieve with our other regional bodies.
As a follow-up, Your Excellency, are you not alarmed?
Pardon?
Are you not alarmed that out of 16 countries, we get seven votes for our candidates?
Yeah, I'm not alarmed. That is the beginning of campaign. It's a good start.
It's a race, isn't it? There has to be losers and winners. Okay.
Thank you, Excellency. Anonzi au the checker ZBC radio. Gunzo wangu akanangana in just under 45 days will be commemorating the first anniversary of the ZIG currency yedu iri backed na gold. Payaka uya up to now. My first question is, are you happy with its performance? Because I'm very kuti Zimbabwe haina ma economic problem but in a currency problem. Number two, zicharamba ere
vamwe wewe.
I want to say, as we celebrate the anniversary of the ZIG, are you happy with the performance and are we continuing like this? Ichingori ZIG kana watichachinja and how what is being done with their confidence in their local currency?
Aiwa ticharabati nezig yedu Zimbabwe gold ndo zig ndiyo ticharabati nayo haingokwanisi kuti musi waiteta munhu wose obva aitambira kufanira kwatenge ichatambikwa zvayo nokuti ndenenge ichingovapo ichiramba ichingovapo igongovapo.
Yes, Mabena.
Thank you. Your Excellency, we will consolidate the chairman as advised by the Deputy Chief Secretary, but we can't live without talking about Nyae land.
Oh, yes.
We are working hard to support the agriculture sector and also tell the story of the success of the land reform. But we were very young. Well, when others were benefiting, as a result, we don't have land to farm, but we are very eager.
Wewe ucheta mwanako akuti mwanawake vose vachada lendi imi mune muchiwanda iye nenge chiwanda lendi. Our purpose will continue to grow. Our land will never grow. So we shall all of us fit in the land which we have. As we move on, we shall continue to find ways of accommodating ourselves on the land that which we have. Policies will evolve as we develop and as we mechanize. We shall all be content in the piece of land which we have.
I think Chichemo Excellency tione Paminda.
Minda ikone.
Government tione Paminda.
Hapana vanhu vatosarudza kuti tinoti ngavawane minda havateti vawane minda. Vose vanokodzera kuwana minda vachaiwana kana minda ichikwanisa kuwanikwa.
Okay, you have a...
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Okay. The IMF recently said, if I may quote, if I may quote, international re-engagement remains critical for debt resolution and areas clearance, which will open the door for access to external financing. So I just wanted to find out where we are at in terms of our re-engagement processes and also in terms of debt clearance.
No, we're still in that process, and our facilitator He's still engaged to do the best he can. Former President Chisano is still engaged in that process.
Yeah, maybe just a follow-up to a question. Our arrears and debt resolution champion, Dr. Adesina.
Yes.
Yes, his term is coming to an end this year. And if he leaves office, normally when you leave office, people they don't want to talk to you because you won't have that latitude as the AFGB president. I wanted to find out from you, are we now going to accelerate our processes such that by the time he leaves office, maybe we are almost there, or maybe we would have completed the process?
Everything possible is being done, and we shall know what achievement we are going to achieve at the end of his term, and we'll begin from there. This one. Yes, Faith.
Mubvunzo wandikuvunza mubvunzo urikubvunzwa nenyika.
Nyika yakagara pasi.
Regarding issue ya weakness chovayo. There's a lot of speculation around zvese zvaanenge achiita. Vamwe vanenge vachiti ifront yapresident.
Front?
Yes. Ndimuri kuvatuma zvese.
My front.
So
you see, I see it abundantly. I don't see.
So this issue has been very topical in our communities.
Okay.
Issue yekuti zvinonzi mari yashaniwa nepi, vamwe vachiti no imari ndipresident vanenge vamutuma. So taida kumuzvinwa kwamuri.
Explain yourself. Vanotuma kudini?
Zvaari kuita zvese izvo achingopa vanhu mota nekupa vanhu.
Undienda mba mari yacho. Ndiyaona kuti.
No.
So find out first where you think I get the money to give people, rather than wasting my time about somebody using his money. So you can't bother me about somebody who is philanthropic. Nenanga achiba kuda taituma mapurisa kana kuna asata vanenge abigwa, please report. Catherine, I also know good. Okay, that's fine. No, you can continue asking.
Your Excellency, the Vision 2030, it is going to happen, or likely to happen, after your term has expired. So are we likely to see in the remaining years before the expiration of the term, the government notching a lot of gains for that to be achieved before you leave the office?
Notching what?
Notching the gains to get there before you leave the office in 2028, because we likely to realize it in 2030. So are we likely to see in the remaining years?
Yeah, we are doing our best to achieve our goals, depending on the resources at our disposal. That is our desire. It's one thing to set a goal, it's quite another to achieve the goal you set for yourselves.
There have been some noticeable improvements in the economy. I'll give you an example. Power, there's a lot of work that's happening. 18 months from now, we hear that we likely, and we are hearing from the private sector, yes, we likely to be power self-sufficient. So we have seen the rods. And then, but we are now looking at the currents and the need for the nation to move in one direction. Like you said last week at the burial of a late national hero, that let's move in one direction. So are you foreseeing us moving in one direction? Because that is a critical enabler to achieving that vision 2030. Are you seeing that likely to happen?
I'm bidding the nation, that is yourselves, myself, and everybody else, to move in one direction. And that is the duty of a leader, to bid the nation to move in one direction. And that is what I am doing.
Thank you.
No, but the last one.
Okay.
Excellence. My ambassador, my brand ambassador, who says Zimbabwe, senior national team, I know my warriors. Avana kumusha kwekutambira bhora. My warriors.
You have done a lot. Kuti mastadium makavamba kuti vaigadzire
havana pekutambira
havana pekutambira bhora. Nhasi vatambira kuuganda Nelson Mandela Stadium. Mangwana unotambira kuOrlando Stadium.
So we will upgrade them.
You funded to upgrade.
I'm advised by Chief Secretary that the government has released the funding to upgrade our stadiums. We've released the funding to upgrade the stadiums.
Your Excellency, Your Excellency, pane marenovations angaitwa kuNational Sports Stadium. Pace yacho tingati mabatira avakuita is very slow. Are we likely to see an acceleration because toda kuona zvichifamba nekuti isusu aqualify kuenda Africa Cup of Nations tisina kutomboona mawarriors team yedu isusu hatina kutomboona at home tingoona South Africa Peter Mokapa Orlando Nelson Mandela kuUganda. Tandikumbiwa hangu kuti chemo changu Your Excellency tachikumbiwa kuti dai zvinhu zvaita sei zvatifambi
isusu hurumende pane chatofana kuita chatisataita
chekuti marenovations ari kuitwa kuNational Sports Stadium apere.
hakuna mbudzi.
Okay. 40. Okay, you haven't said anything. Yes, okay, so I'll give you an opportunity. Madam?
Excellency Linda Murilo from Zimbabwe's Radio. I wanted to find out to what extent you think that your foot soldiers, the cabinet ministers, are connected with the people at the grassroots, the communities they serve, and Zimbabweans in general. There is a concern that some of their pronouncements, the policies are not in tandem with what's on the ground. And we have seen you both talking and acting. We are having this historic engagement. I remember you coming to one of our radio stations, Happy Talk, upon your ascendancy to the presidency. But the concern from the editors, I believe, is that the cabinet ministers especially are not swift in responding to issues that Zimbabweans need to hear. So just engaging editors or members of the media to set clarity on issues that keep Zimbabweans awake at night. To what extent do you believe that they are connected with the people at the grassroots?
Bush should satisfy himself or herself that they are swift to respond to these issues. Is it not me?
Yes, Your Excellency.
Very compliant.
So you are happy?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Your Excellency.
All right, Current President, well, it appears you have exhausted Mnangagwa, my editors. I don't seem to see any other hand which is up, and maybe at this juncture.
Sorry, it's not a question.
Okay, fine.
It's wherever we break up as editors.
Sorry?
As we will break up as editors. Timbola uthi
no edit chikupi you said the one comes editor.
Edit my.
You're welcome. Oh, you're welcome, anytime. I misunderstood.
Once we are ready, let's get to know, and then we can make my arrangements and advise the president on your readiness.
I'm welcome.
It's better when it's all looking green now.
Oh, yeah.
Better goes in there. As inside that's bad,
No, they're welcome.
Your Excellency, I think we are almost coming to the close of this very vigorous exchange you have had with our editors, and all that remains is for me to ask one of their number, Comrade Kathy, to give a vote of thanks.
Thank you, Your Excellency, the Chief Secretary, to the President Cabinet, the Director General, the President Department, and allow me to observe the already established protocol. In May 2009, just 3 months after the consummation of the Government of National Unity, one of the arch critics of the then administration, Mr. Mnangagwa, gave an interview to the Guardian. And in that interview, he described the late former President Robert Mugabe as a man of principle, as a warm individual, contrary to the criticism that him and his colleagues in the opposition had been doing. And that interview elicited a lot of responses, and he was very hammered, particularly internationally. But then he stuck to his guns and said, I get to meet my president quite often as finance minister. He is a Victorian gentleman. They did not like it. But what came out of that, and what actually the kind of abundance he got, was that he was portraying his president in a new picture, a new light, which may not be known to those people who are resident outside of the country. This morning, this interaction, it is my hope, I'm sure it's the hope of my colleagues, that we begin to see you in a much different light, which is quite positive, because we had the opportunity of interacting with you. It is so important because a country can either progress or regress because of the attitudes of its own people. At times there are inadequacies, at times there are lapses, at times there's ignorance, but we can be constructed to mean an adversarial attitude towards the leadership of the country if we don't get to interact and meet like this. So, because my job is very easy to say thank you, but I want to say, you can only say thank you when you have a glad heart. I have a glad heart. I'm sure my colleagues have a glad heart. We'd like to thank you, Excellency, for having given us the time to be able to interact with you. Mr. Durham, thank you so much. So, on behalf of my colleagues, we'd like to say, may this long continue. Thank you.
I may just say that the only person who stands between you and me is Charamba. If you talk to him, always the door opens to me. The door opens to you. So Charamba is the key.
Sure. Yes. We commit to intensifying the interaction. Thank you. By the way, I should just announce that His Excellency the President has availed some late breakfast for you. Please don't leave this place before you've had a snack. Come, President.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Not have a group picture.
Yes.
Ah, okay. The President. Right in front, Patronate Mapucha Zigapo, Tosano Garden, we can invite the President when we are sorted out. Okay.